The first sign that something extraordinary had entered Earth's atmosphere came in the form of a brilliant azure streak across the night sky above the Cascade Mountains. Unlike a meteor's predictable arc, this object zigzagged purposefully, as if fighting against gravity itself before disappearing behind the jagged mountain peaks. The impact sent tremors rippling through the wilderness, strong enough to register on seismographs hundreds of miles away, yet curiously contained. Maya Reeves had been a park ranger in the Cascades for 9 years, and she prided herself on knowing every inch of her territory. The ground beneath her cabin shook at 2:17 a.m., rattling coffee mugs on shelves and jolting her from a dreamless sleep. Her German shepherd, Kodiak, was already alert, ears perked and eyes fixed on the eastern window, where a faint blue glow pulsed between the trees. "What do you think, boy?" "Plane crash," she murmured, pulling on her uniform and grabbing her emergency pack. Kodiak whined in response, unusually hesitant to follow her to the door. The air outside felt strange, charged, as if a thunderstorm was brewing despite the clear, star-filled sky. Maya's radio crackled with chatter from other stations, all reporting the anomaly. She called in her position and intention to investigate, then set off toward the glow, Kodiak reluctantly trailing behind. 3 hours of difficult hiking through dense forest brought her to a scene that defied explanation. A clearing that hadn't existed yesterday stretched before her, trees flattened in a perfect circle 300 yards in diameter. At its center sat not the wreckage she'd expected, but an intact structure, sleek, iridescent, and undeniably artificial. It resembled an elongated teardrop, approximately 60 feet long, with no visible seams or windows. Its surface rippled with colors that seemed to shift and flow like oil on water. "Base, this is Reeves," she said into her radio, voice steady despite her racing heart. "I found the impact site. You're going to want to call someone about this. It's not one of ours." By noon, the site was swarming with government vehicles. Men and women in hazmat suits scanned the object from a respectful distance, while military personnel established a perimeter. Maya found herself repeatedly explaining what she'd seen upon arrival to officials with increasingly higher security clearances. Ranger Reeves, a tall man with dark skin and silver-streaked hair, approached, extending his hand. "I'm Dr. Elijah Singh, cynobiology consultant with NASA. I understand you were first on scene." "Cynobiology?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "You guys move fast when you want to." "We've had protocols in place for decades," Dr. Singh replied with a slight smile. "Though I admit, none of us expected to be implementing them quite like this." Together, they watched as specialized equipment was assembled around the object, which remained motionless and silent. "Has anyone tried to approach it directly?" Dr. Singh asked. Maya shook her head. Orders were to maintain distance until specialists arrived. She paused. "That would be you, I'm guessing." Dr. Singh nodded, his expression both excited and apprehensive. "Indeed. Shall we introduce ourselves to our visitor?" The approach team consisted of Dr. Singh, Maya, who refused to be sidelined, and 4 heavily armed soldiers. Instruments detected no radiation or hazardous emissions from the object, but caution prevailed. 20 yards from the vessel, Kodiak began to whine again, planting his feet and refusing to continue. "Smart dog," one of the soldiers muttered. At 10 yards, Maya felt it, a subtle vibration that seemed to resonate not through the air, but directly through her body. Dr. Singh clearly felt it too. His steps faltered, and his eyes widened. "It's scanning us," he whispered. The vessel's surface began to pulse rhythmically, its colors shifting predominantly to deep blues and violets. A low humming filled the air, building in intensity until Maya felt it in her teeth and bones. "We should step back," a soldier suggested, raising his weapon instinctively. "No," Dr. Singh and Maya said simultaneously, both feeling an inexplicable certainty. "It's responding to us." As they drew closer, a section of the vessel's surface rippled and parted, revealing an entrance that hadn't been visible before. Cool air wafted out, carrying a scent like ozone, after a lightning storm. Dr. Singh called the operation commander from the perimeter. "You are not authorized to enter that structure." But Dr. Singh stood transfixed by the doorway. "This is precisely what I'm authorized to do," he replied, not taking his eyes off the opening. "First contact protocols are clear. We engage when invited." "I'm coming with you," Maya said firmly, ignoring the commander's continued protests through her earpiece. "I was hoping you would," Dr. Singh replied. Together they stepped forward, crossing the threshold into something unprecedented in human history. The interior defied the laws of physics as humans understood them. The space within was vastly larger than the external dimensions suggested, a cavernous chamber filled with softly glowing surfaces and flowing, organic structures that seemed both technological and alive. The walls pulsed with patterns that resembled neural networks, and at the center floated what appeared to be a navigation console, though it lacked any recognizable controls. "It's beautiful," Maya breathed, removing her helmet despite protocol. Something told her it was safe. More than safe, it felt welcoming. Dr. Singh approached the central console, where a sphere of light had appeared, projecting what was unmistakably a star map. "This is extraordinary," he murmured. "These constellations, they're not from our perspective of the galaxy." The sphere pulsed, and the projection changed, zooming through star systems until it centered on a spiral galaxy, their own. Then to a specific arm, a particular star, a blue planet, Earth. "It came here deliberately," Maya said. "This wasn't a crash. It was looking for us." As if responding to her realization, the light from the console intensified, and tendrils of luminescence extended toward both humans. Maya instinctively raised her hand, and a tendril touched her palm. The sensation was electric, but not painful, a connection forming. Images flooded her mind, vast cities on distant worlds, beams of light and energy, a civilization spanning galaxies, and then conflict, pursuit, desperate flight. The vessel, not merely a ship but a sentient entity, had flowed across the cosmos, carrying something precious, something coveted, something it would die to protect. Dr. Singh experienced the same vision, gasping as the connection broke. "It's running from something," he said, his voice shaking, "and whatever is chasing it will come here looking for it." As if confirming his words, an alarm began to sound throughout the vessel. The star map reappeared, showing multiple objects moving rapidly toward the solar system. Outside, chaos erupted as every electronic device within a mile radius simultaneously received the same signal, a countdown displayed in an alien script that somehow translated itself into understanding. 7 days. In the following hours, the vessel revealed more of its secrets. It was a scout ship from a civilization that called themselves the Luminary, beings who had evolved beyond physical form into entities of pure consciousness and energy. They had seeded potential throughout the galaxy, guiding the evolution of promising species. The vessel contained their accumulated knowledge, scientific, philosophical, cultural, a library of wonders meant as a gift for humanity, whom they had identified as ready for the next evolutionary step. But another force had discovered their plan, the Voidborn, a predatory species that consumed the knowledge and essence of other civilizations, had nearly eradicated the Luminary. This vessel was among the last, carrying not only knowledge, but a defense against the hunters. Maya and Dr. Singh found themselves changed by their contact with the ship. Strange markings appeared on their skin, flowing patterns that resembled circuitry, glowing faintly blue beneath the surface. They discovered they could communicate without speaking and interact with the vessel through thought alone. More disturbing, they began to perceive things beyond normal human senses. Energy fields, quantum possibilities, the very fabric of space-time. The government established a secure zone around the crash site, but word had already spread. Satellite images leaked online showed the perfect circle in the forest and the strange object at its center. Conspiracy theories flourished. Religious leaders proclaimed either salvation or doom. Markets fluctuated wildly. 5 days after the landing, the first direct transmission arrived. Every screen on Earth briefly went dark, then displayed the same message in every language. Return what was stolen. It is not meant for primitive minds. Comply or face extinction. We arrive in 2 days. The Voidborn had found them. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, though everyone understood the futility of conventional weapons against beings capable of interstellar travel. Scientists and leaders from every nation converged in emergency sessions, debating options that ranged from surrender to desperate last stands. At the crash site, now dubbed First Contact Ground, Maya and Dr. Singh had become indispensable interpreters between the vessel, which they'd learned was named Lumina, and humanity. The markings on their skin had spread, covering most of their bodies with intricate patterns that pulsed in sync with the ship's systems. The Voidborn aren't bluffing, Maya explained to the Joint Military Scientific Committee that had assembled in a hastily constructed command center. They've destroyed entire civilizations before. They consume knowledge, but they don't share or preserve it. They weaponize it, then discard the remains. Dr. Singh nodded grimly. According to Lumina, they've been hunting the luminary for millennia. This vessel contains the last complete repository of their civilization's achievements, and crucially, the key to defeating the Voidborn. General Helena Voss, the granite-faced leader of the Joint Task Force, leaned forward. Then why don't we just use this key? If we have a weapon. It's not that simple, Maya interrupted. The luminary weren't warriors. Their defense isn't a conventional weapon. It's knowledge, understanding. Specifically, understanding of something they call the nexus field, the underlying connective energy that binds all consciousness together. Sounds like mystical nonsense, muttered one of the scientists. It's quantum entanglement on a cosmic scale, Dr. Singh clarified. The Voidborn have found ways to manipulate it destructively, to sever connections between beings, between worlds. But the luminary discovered that humanity has a unique relationship with this field, a natural ability to strengthen it, to heal rather than harm. So what are you saying? General Voss asked. That we fight an advanced alien species with good vibes. A ripple of nervous laughter spread through the room, but Maya and Elijah remained solemn. We're saying, Maya continued, that Lumina came to Earth because humans possess something the Voidborn can't understand and can't easily counter, emotional intelligence combined with creativity. Our capacity for empathy, cooperation, and imaginative problem-solving is literally alien to them. The committee room erupted in skeptical murmurs, but they were interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the facility. Outside, the night sky blazed with light as multiple objects broke through the atmosphere, descending to hover over major cities worldwide. Each resembled a massive obsidian shard, absorbing rather than reflecting light, creating ominous voids in the sky. The Voidborn had arrived early. Displays around the world flickered to life with the same message. Your time expires now. Surrender the luminary vessel or witness the first demonstration of our resolve. Before anyone could respond, a blinding beam of energy lanced down from the craft hovering over an uninhabited section of the Australian outback. When the light faded, satellite imagery revealed a perfect circle of glass 50 miles in diameter. The sand had been instantly vitrified, and everything within the circle simply ceased to exist. That was uninhabited desert, came the cold voice through every speaker. The next demonstration will target your most populous city. You have 1 hour to deliver the vessel to these coordinates. In the command center, panic erupted. Leaders argued for immediate surrender, while military commanders desperately proposed futile defense scenarios. Through it all, Maya and Dr. Singh stood silent, their marked skin pulsing with increasing intensity. We need to get back to Lumina, Maya finally said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Now, they raced through the facility, their bodies seeming to move faster than should be possible, the blue patterns on their skin now blazing with light. Guards stepped aside instinctively, some backing away in fear. They reached the chamber housing Lumina just as the vessel began to transform, its teardrop shape shifting and flowing into something more complex, more deliberate. "What's happening?" demanded General Voss, who had followed them. "Lumina is preparing," Dr. Singh explained, placing his hand against the vessel's surface. "The Voidborn don't just want to destroy the ship, they want to prevent humanity from receiving the Luminary's gift. But the process has already begun." The patterns on Maya and Elijah's skin now matched exactly those flowing across Lumina's surface. As they stood together before the vessel, a section opened, revealing not the interior they had explored before, but a swirling vortex of light and information. "What are you doing?" Voss demanded as the two stepped toward the opening. "What we were meant to do," Maya replied, her voice overlaid with harmonics that hadn't been there before. "The Luminary chose us as catalysts, bridges between their knowledge and humanity's potential. The Voidborn can destroy cities, even continents," Dr. Singh added, "but they can't stop what's already in motion. The knowledge isn't just in the vessel anymore. It's in us, and through us, it will spread to all humanity." Before Voss could protest further, Maya and Elijah stepped into the vortex. The light engulfed them, their forms becoming indistinct, merging with the energy of the vessel itself. Throughout the facility, every screen, every device capable of transmission, activated simultaneously. The patterns that had marked Maya and Elijah's skin now flowed across displays worldwide, carrying with them fragments of understanding, insights into physics, medicine, consciousness, connection. In orbit, the Voidborn detected the transmission and intensified their attack. Energy beams targeted the crash site, but where they should have caused devastating destruction, they instead seemed to be absorbed, redirected, transformed. The patterns spreading through Earth's information networks accelerated, adapting to incorporate the very energy meant to destroy them. Within an hour, the effects became visible. People across the globe reported strange experiences, sudden insights, enhanced empathy, awareness of connections previously imperceptible. As millions, then billions of minds began to access fragments of the luminary knowledge, a collective consciousness emerged, not erasing individuality, but enhancing it, creating a human nexus field that strengthened with each new connection. The Voidborn ships increased their attack, targeting major population centers, but each beam of destructive energy was met with a counterwave emanating from countless human minds working in spontaneous harmony. The dark vessels began to falter, their perfect geometries distorting as the enhanced human consciousness infiltrated their systems. At first contact ground, Lumina had transformed completely, no longer a vessel but a pulsing nexus of light that extended tendrils of energy outward, connecting to the growing human field. Within this light, Maya and Elijah existed in a transformed state, their consciousness expanded beyond individual identity, yet retaining their essential humanity. Through this expanded awareness, they addressed the Voidborn directly, their thoughts carried on the newly formed nexus field. "You came to destroy knowledge," they communicated. "You sought to prevent our evolution because you fear what we might become. But you have failed. The Luminary's gift has been received. Humanity has awakened to its potential." The Voidborn ships began to withdraw, retreating from the unexpected resistance. Their final transmission came not as words, but as raw emotion, something alien yet recognizable as fear. They had encountered civilizations with advanced technology before, had destroyed beings with powerful weapons and defenses, but they had never faced a species that could transform their attacks into growth, their destruction into creation. As the dark vessels accelerated away from Earth, the global nexus field stabilized. The immediate enhanced connectivity between all humans gradually moderated to a more sustainable level, leaving humanity forever changed but not overwhelmed. Where the luminary vessel had stood, a new structure crystallized, a permanent bridge between the knowledge of the ancient benefactors and the developing potential of humanity. 1 month later, Dr. Helena Voss stood before this crystalline structure. now the center of an international research facility. The patterns that had once marked Maya and Elijah now adorn the structure itself, constantly shifting and revealing new information to those who had learned to perceive it. "We're detecting new signals," a young researcher reported excitedly. "Other luminary vessels responding to our transmission. They're coming to Earth, not to hide, but to teach." Voss nodded, her expression thoughtful. "And the Voidborn, retreating to the edges of known space, according to our new sensing arrays. They're afraid, not just of us, but of what's beginning to happen on other worlds. The nexus field is spreading, connecting consciousness across species, across galaxies. Within the crystalline heart of the structure, something that had once been Maya Reeves and Elijah Singh continued to exist, not as individuals, but as the first true bridge between humanity and the broader cosmic community they were now joining. Their sacrifice had ensured that Earth would not merely survive its first contact, but would emerge as a beacon of a new possibility in the galaxy, a civilization that understood the true power of connection. And in the depths of space, other vessels hurried toward Earth, carrying ancient knowledge to a young species that had proven itself worthy of the stars.